The public have been admitted, Chairman, and the recording has started. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Adams, and I am the chairman of the South Kesteven Planning Committee, and I give you all a warm welcome to this virtual meeting. We're still in challenging times, and I look forward to the fullest cooperation of members and the public in ensuring that our deliberations proceed in an orderly and professional manner. Dealing with the housekeeping very quickly, I'd appreciate if all devices not being used to be either turned off or put on silent, please, both members and the public. Members of the committee and of the public may find it helpful to have their devices connected to the main electricity supply to avoid losing connection to the meeting. It would be helpful if landlines are situated so that if they do ring, they are muted, and if you have pets, that they're not able to access the room you're working in, and that other household distractions are kept to a minimum. May I remind everyone and members of the committee that members of the committee have control of their own microphones. Please remember to turn them on when you start speaking and turn them off when you finish. Jordan has control of the mechanism for turning off the microphones for public speakers, or Shelley, I'm not quite sure who's got that role this morning, but one or the other. And please may I ask committee members and members of the public to have their cameras turned on when they're speaking. Speakers will be advised when they have 30 seconds left on their address to committee and when their time is up. The chat or conversation function in Skype for Business is only for the use of planning committee members, please, who want to indicate that they would like to speak. Any members of the public or other members should not use the chat function. If they do, they will be asked to stop, and if they continue to use it, it may be necessary to remove them from the meeting. Please be aware that if you do disconnect yourself inadvertently by pressing any of the buttons, and this is for members, IT support will be with us during the whole of the meeting should it be needed. If a member or members do get connected for more than a few seconds, I will refer members and the public to 6.16.2 of the published protocol, which refers to adjournment of a meeting. We will adjourn the meeting to enable members of the public or members of the committee to get reconnected. If that is not possible after a short while, certainly members of the committee will, I'm afraid, have to be taken out of the meeting. And just a last reminder that the meeting is being recorded. I'm in the chamber today with the members from, the officers from IT and Councillor Reid. So it is the first meeting for a number of people this morning. So I'm going to welcome, Martha is dealing with the legal side of things. But this is Martha's third meeting, I think. Anita Eckersley will be taking the minutes. Shelley will be keeping her eagle eye on me and making sure I don't do anything untoward. And today is Hannah Notch's first meeting, as indeed it is Jeff Upton. Members of the committee had the opportunity to say hello and for Jeff to say hello to them prior to us starting the meeting. But I give you all a warm welcome and look forward to your contributions. So if I can kick off by asking Shelley to do a roll call, please.
Mr. Chairman, it's going to be me, Anita, that's going to do the roll call. Okay.
Thanks, Anita.
Sorry to confuse.
Not at all. That's easily done.
I know. I believe we have apologies from Councillor Ian Selby, who might join us later on.
Indeed.
Okay. And I also believe that Councillor Harish Bishnau Singh has actually left the meeting due to network issues. So they're contacting him to get him back in. So I will now do the roll call if... You're on mute. I've just unmuted you, Mr. Chairman. Right, I'll do the roll call now. Councillor Bob Adams. Hello.
Sorry, Anita. Present.
Thank you. Councillor Judy Smith.
Present.
Councillor David Bellamy.
Present.
I'll ask Councillor Bishnau Singh. Have you managed to get back on? No, not yet. Councillor Helen Crawford.
Present.
Councillor Phil Dilks.
Present.
Councillor Mike Exton.
Present.
Councillor Cabry Brown.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Penny Milnes.
Present.
Councillor Morgan. I'll try again later. Councillor Reid.
Present.
Councillor Jackie Smith.
That was Jackie Smith on the phone to me. I'm guessing she's got connectivity problems.
Right, okay.
Bradley or Jordan will try to contact her straight away.
Officers we have in attendance are Jeff Upton, the Interim Head of Development Planning, Planning Officers Chris Brown, Phil Jordan, Daniel Allen, Steve Cadman and Hannah Nooch. And that's the roll call, Mr Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. Dealing with just one or two more housekeeping matters. For the benefit of members, there are only speakers for one item on this agenda, which is planning agenda item 5, where there are speakers on that. And so members have got their agenda papers up to date. Application 12 S200065 has been withdrawn by the applicant. Okay, so if we can now go on to item 2, and this is where we ask members for any declarations of interest other than those that are recorded in the declarations register.
Chair, may I
yes, please, Robert.
Just make, for the avoidance of doubt, since I sit on the Housing Board, application 11 for Stoney Bridge Road, I'm going to withdraw and not take part during that application. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Robert. Any other declarations of interest? Yes, Helen. Councillor Crawford. Helen, please.
Thank you, Bob. Do we need to do item 13, Councillor Graham Gill, who's known to us all?
No, not at all. That's all catered for within the Constitution, Helen. But thank you for raising the point for the benefit of all members. So no, there's no necessity for anyone to declare that they know Graham Gill.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Any other possible declarations of interest? Thank you. So we'll move on to item 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of November. I will ask, has every member received a copy and in sufficient time to read them, to agree them? I know they went out a little bit late, and that's not a criticism of anybody. All officers are working flat out 120%, so there are going to be glitches every now and again. But I will ask, does anybody wish me to go through the minutes page by page? I'll take that as a no. Can I therefore ask somebody to...
I'll propose, Mr Chairman, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Councillor Exton, thank you. Is proposing. May I have a seconder, please?
Second. Judith.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. That's Judy Smith. Can we do this yet by exception, Anita, or do we have to go through a head count?
You're probably best going through a head count, Chairman.
Fine, thank you, Anita.
Okay.
I'll leave that with you then. So we've had them proposed and seconded.
Okay. Can I just also confirm, can Councillor Smith, Jackie Smith, hear me all right? And I presume she's in attendance.
Councillor Smith, Jackie Smith, are you with us? Harish, are you with us? Are you back with us? Doesn't look like it, Anita. Anita, you've muted yourself, Anita.
Sorry.
It's
clever,
not
isn't it?
saying in the chat box that they're reconnected either.
No.
Well, we'll proceed and bring them in as and when they can get reconnected, Anita.
Right, okay. So this is going to be for the approval of the minutes. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bishnau Singh. No. Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabry Brown.
For.
Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan doesn't appear to be here either. Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Selby is absent. Councillor Jackie Smith. Councillor Judy Smith.
4.
Thank you. And Councillor Adams.
4.
Thank you. They've been passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. Can we have one last attempt to see if those who have got disconnected have been able to reconnect?
I'll check with IT.
I'll just have a slight pause here, because once we've started looking, hearing the applications, if they do connect, then they will not be able to take part in the, certainly not in the vote, and possibly not in the discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I've been advised that IT are trying to contact both Councillor Smith and Councillor Bisnow Singh, so hopefully it should be resolved shortly.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelley. Okay, well, for the purposes of the first application, which is application 4, just for the record, we will have to exclude those 2 councillors from any vote when we come to take a vote. So we'll move on then. It's application S20-1556. Case Officer Chris Brown, please. Chris.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just load my screen up now for you. Just bear with me a second. And Chairman, I'd be grateful if you could let me know once the presentation is available to view on your screen.
Will do, Chris. Yes, it's come up straight away.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Okay, good morning, Planning Committee. This application, S20-1556, is a Section 73 application to vary Condition 2, which is for the approved plans of previous permission S18-1859 at 81 Harrogate Lane, Grantham. The key issues raised as part of this application are the design and layout of the proposal, impact on neighbouring amenity, and the highway impact of the proposal. The area view overview from Google Maps, just for some context, so the site is located on Harrogate Lane. It's just off that mini roundabout from New Beacon Road, and all to the northeast of Grantham. And then a slightly zoomed in version again for some context. So the site itself is in the centre of your screens there. The large detached house in the centre of the screen has since been demolished as part of the original application, and the house is built on that site. You'll see from the photos that construction is well underway on the site. So again, that's the red line of the application site. There's a faint outline there, if you can see it, of the previous house that did stand on the site. Moving on, there aren't any pictures of the site itself, because it's obviously all an active construction site, but that's the site entrance there under construction. Again, looking further into the site, you can see there are a couple of plots with roofs going on. None are close to occupation as yet, but work is well underway on the site. And that's a view slightly further down Harrogate Lane as well. So that is the existing site plan that was approved back in July 2019. The proposal is for 6 two-storey semi-detached dwellings which sit across the front, so the sort of the block of 3, if you like, either side of the access down on Harrogate Lane, and then 8 bungalows, all semi-detached.
I am in.
Within the rest of the
They
site.
might stop me voting on the first item. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Charmaine, could you turn your microphone off, please?
Okay, I'll carry on.
Carry on, Chris.
Yes, Chairman. So the key change with this application is there is no change to the house types or the house plots. They're all cited exactly as per permitted back in 2019. The only change is to the red line boundary. So I'll flick between the two, but that's the existing site plan. And now with the proposed site plan, to the bottom right of the screen, I'll try and show you with a laser pointer. So to the bottom right hand screen, if you can see that, there's now a slight curve to the red line. The curve is away from the next door dwellings. The red line plan is a reduction over what was previously approved, with the red line boundary now closer. This is plot number 6 there. So I'll move off the pointer just go back to the previous one, you can see that red line is a straight line to the side of plot number 6. Now it curves slightly towards plot number 6. And that's a slightly more zoomed in version there of the red line change. Effectively, when they started building on site, that boundary is thick and dense vegetation, and the applicant realised that they didn't own that bit of boundary there. So this application is to rectify that and bring that boundary slightly closer into plot number 6 that they're building, and further away from the neighbours effectively. Also, part of this application, the applicant has submitted their soft landscaping proposals. The details of this are all set out in the additional items paper. So the application has an existing consent, S19 1859 in July 2019. This application proposes no change to the number of dwellings or the layout or the type of houses proposed. The amendment is simply to that red line boundary only, with a reduction in the red line from previously approved, together with the submission of the soft landscaping details as shown on the previous slide. There's been no objections received from consultees. There's no impacts considered above the approved scheme S19 1859. And as mentioned, the soft landscaping details are set out in the additional items paper, together with a condition to effectively re-secure the affordable housing provision that has been discharged as part of the previous application, but as this is effectively a new application for admittedly the exact same thing, that condition is proposed again and set out in the additional items paper. Thank you, Chairman. I'll hand back to you.
Thank you for that, Chris. Okay, just as a reminder to members, the principle of developing this site has already been established by previous approvals and previous applications and approvals. So all we are considering here is the amendment, an amendment to those proposals. Does anybody wish to speak, please?
Chairman, can I just comment? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Right,
Councillor Morgan is in, Councillor Bishnar Singh is in, but we're still having problems connecting Councillor Jackie Smith. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, Shelley, when it comes to the vote, you'll have to exclude Councillor Jackie Smith from any vote, please.
Thank you.
Happy. I followed the chat box, and I'm happy that the others have heard the whole of the application.
Charmaine has to.
Sorry.
May I make just a comment, Mr. Chairman? It's Mike.
Okay.
Mike.
Yes, Mike.
It's a refreshing idea now of actually building some bungalows. We very, very seldom get bungalows built.
Absolutely.
And it's hope this trend continues on other sites.
Thank you, Mike. I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely.
I'm listening, Mike.
Did you hear that, Robert? Sorry, Mike. Robert, Councillor Reid is listening. But thank you for the comment. Are there any other comments that any member might wish to make, please? Yes, Penny. Oh, you agree with more bungalows? Okay. Thank you for that. Any other comments that any member might wish to make? I'll take that as a no then. So, Shelley, sorry, Anita, can we go to the vote, please?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Councillor Bellamy, for against.
We haven't had a proposal in a second, as Chairman.
Sorry.
I'll propose it, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
I beg your pardon. I thought I knew Mike had proposed it, and I thought I'd heard somebody say second. So okay.
Harris, I second it.
Thank you, Harris. Are you happy with that, Councillor Crawford? Helen?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Right, can you go officially to the vote now, Anita, please?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bishnar Singh.
For.
Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabry Brown.
For.
Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Judy Smith.
For.
Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That's one.
And the dog is as well. And
That's
the dog
11.
agrees.
That's fine. Thank you. That's 11-4 with one absent and one not in attendance for this meeting due to technical issues, Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. So we now go on to application 5, 1586. Before I do, this again is in the hands of Chris Brown, but could I welcome Brian and Helen Driscoll, who are speaking on this one. Sorry to both of you, I didn't confirm that you were in the meeting at the beginning, so asking for confirmation you are with us. I can see you in the final.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We're here and we can see you well.
Super. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Helen. So, Chris, could you introduce this one, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, again, please just bear with me while I load up the presentation. Again, I'd be grateful if you could let me know once the presentation is uploaded.
Yes, it's uploaded, Chris. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Chairman. So yes, this application is S20-1586. Again, it's a Section 73 application to vary Condition 2, the approved plans. This one of permission S16-0112. This application proposes an amendment to the access, associated layout changes, house type updates, and changes the affordable plot numbers of Phase A only. The site is to the land north of Towngate East and south of Northfield Road in Market Deeping. The key issues raised as part of this application are, again, the design and layout, impact on neighbouring amenity, way impact of the proposal. Some aerial overview for context of where the site is there in relation to Market Deeping, to the north of Towngate East and to the south of the A1175. And again, a slightly zoomed in version. Again, the site is in the middle of your screens there. The site in total has permission for 240 dwellings and was a former site allocation, I think, within the old core strategy, and is now allocated in the local plan as a site with permission, effectively, for the full 240 dwellings. For context, the Deepings practice is located just to the southeast of the site, the other side of Towngate East. And that's the red line of the application site. Just for context, again, that shows the dwellings, and the dwellings already permitted to the north of that as well. So some pictures. So that's the view into the site there from Towngate East, with dwellings at Lancaster Way shown there on the right-hand side. Again, a view into the site again from Towngate East. This is now sort of from the corner looking in across the site. So this would be looking northwest. Slightly zoomed out, so this is now with the Deepings practice is to the left of where this photo has been taken. The previous photo was from the gap between the fence and the hedgerow, straight down the middle of that slide there. I've included this, so this is a street view picture from Google Maps, just to show the setup of 74 and 76 Towngate East. I know the speakers, Mr. and Mrs. Driscoll, are going to refer to this. Effectively, one of the proposals as part of this application is to move the access, which I'll come to as part of the plans as well. But just to show you that picture there, so previously, again, I'll use the pointer. Previously, the access was halfway between these two dwellings, roughly, slightly closer towards this driveway here, but effectively was roughly where the pointer is there. If I just leave that still, the access is being moved less than 5 metres to the west. It'll be effectively the other side now of that sign there, so roughly about where the pointer is there. That's the existing site plan, so that's for the 240 dwellings that were approved back in 2017 as part of the full site. It shows an access both to Northfield Road at the top of the site there, if you can see that, as well as down onto Towngate East at the bottom of the site. And that's a slightly zoomed in version. So again, this is the existing site plan as approved. I haven't highlighted Phase A here, but effectively everything you can see in the screen pretty much is all Phase A. And again, you can see the access there down onto Towngate East. So this is now the proposed site plan for this amendment application. So again, it's the same number of houses, 56 as already approved of the wider 240. And this is simply for Phase A only. The amendments proposed are simply to some house types, some houses, or some plots rather, within the scheme are switching from market to affordable or affordable to market, and then some of the affordable ones between them are swapping between affordable tenures. But there's no overall change in the number of affordable units on site at all. It's just that the plot numbers effectively are being swapped around. The access, again, I'll use the laser pointer. The access, so the access was previously roughly where the red dot is there opposite, and now has moved slightly over to the western side. I've just got some slides here to show you some of the proposed house types. So predominantly two-storey on this site. So this is a detached two-storey dwelling. The largest house type on the site, again, a larger two-storey detached dwelling. Third one. Fourth one, and then one of the corner turning plots proposed as well. So in terms of valuation of this application, so again, there's an existing consent on site, S160112, which was approved in December 2017 following the completion of a Section 106 agreement. There's no change to the red line boundary of this site or the number of dwellings proposed. The amendments as set out as to the house types and access only, together with plot changes to the affordable tenure. There's no objections received from consultees or from the Town Council. And again, there's no impacts considered as part of this application over and above what was considered as part of the approved scheme. The application is recommended for approval, but subject to a deed of variation, DOV, to the existing Section 106 agreement. Thank you, Chairman. I'll hand back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Chris. So we have a speaker on this one with, I'm assuming that, Brian, that is just one of you speaking?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. So if you would like to ready yourself, let me know when you're ready, and the clock will start ticking off the 3 minutes, Brian.
Yes, I'm ready to start.
Over to you then. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee, for considering our objection to this change. Our proposal our objection isn't to the type of houses, it's to the access and the impact it's going to have upon us. We were concerned when building was first proposed, but recognised the need for more housing. From a logical point of view, living along a row of bungalows, the obvious entrance for us was going to be an extension of the roundabout. That wasn't accepted, but it certainly made sense. Where the road access did enable us to have a reasonable access to our property. The proposed change of that means that we will need to reverse out into the mouth of a T-junction, which we feel is extremely unsafe with the amount of traffic, both pedestrian and motor traffic, getting in and out of our property is going to be very difficult and unsafe for us. It's purely the access to the site. And it looks, from our point of view, the access to the site change is very cosmetic as far as Alison homes are concerned. Yeah, they could leave the access exactly where it is and do what they want. I cannot understand the reason for this amendment, and would ask that it is not passed on the basis of access change to Towngate East. It's going to create a real problem for us. We would either have to back in to our drive from the which would give us a problem at the mouth of a T-junction, or be backing out into the mouth of a T-junction. We just feel that is very, very unsafe. And if previously it was in between the two properties, which gave us a reasonable amount of ability to do just that. So I would genuinely ask that we are a lane of bungalows, which I'm pleased to see some of the members are pleased to have. We've been here as bungalows for some considerable time. Please take this in consideration and treat us with respect. That's all we can ask for you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Helen. Excuse me. Okay, can we now move on to questions to the applicant or agent? Well, the applicant or agent isn't here. Does any member have any questions to Chris Brown, the case officer, please? Right.
Yes, sorry.
Just bear with me. Question, Phil Dilks, please.
Yeah, to Chris, if I may. I know the area quite well. I'm a member for the neighbouring ward in Deep St James, but we did ask at the time this went through for the access to be an extension to the roundabout, and I was never convinced as to why we couldn't do that personally, but I think it is a reasonable question to ask. You know, why do we want? I note that highways haven't got any objections, but why? You know, what is the justification for moving it? Can we just ask that of the case officer? Thank you.
Yes, we can. Can I just ask Harish, Penny and Charmaine, is your question related to the same thing that Chris can answer all three at once?
Yeah, yes, please, Mr. Chairman.
No.
So Harish,
I wanted to know.
No, sorry, not mine. It's slightly.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Charmaine. Harish, yours is a similar question.
I would like to know if Chris could put up the slide where the junction which the gentleman was just talking about, Brian was talking about.
Are you able to do that, Chris?
Yes, happy to do that, Chairman. You just have to bear with me a second while I load it back up again. But yes, no, I'm happy to get it back up on the screen.
Penny, is your question related to the same issue?
Yes, it is. I'd just like to know what the reasoning is for moving it and why they're doing that. Then why can't it be reverted and stay where it was?
Okay, thank you.
I could put mine in because if we're covering it all, mine was around the data and what sort of volume of number of cars or journeys are we expecting through that entrance.
Charmaine, that would all have been dealt with at. Well, all we're looking at here are the reserved matters. That doesn't constitute part of the reserved matters, please. Thank you.
The reason I'm asking it is because it relates to the issue that we're talking about now regarding the design. We're trying to establish what level of risk there might be, depending on how many vehicles will be going in and out of that turning opposite the bungalow. That's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah, but that would have already been debated at the reserved matters, Charmaine. If Chris wishes to pass comment, well, make comment on it, fine. But it is not part of the reserved matters issue. Chris, could you deal with all four of those at the same time?
Yes, happy to, Chairman. Please come back to me if I forget to mention anything. So I'll come to sort of the key bit last, if that's okay. So Councillor Morgan's question, as Councillor Adams, the Chairman has set out, there's no difference with this application. So it's still the same number of houses. The transport assessment would have been agreed as part of the previous application, determined and permitted in 2017. So this application doesn't change anything from that point of view.
No,
Charmaine, will you please respect the officer? Come back if you want to ask a question, but come back through me, please.
I'll wait. That's not what I'm asking.
With regards to Councillor Dilks mentioned about coming off that roundabout, I know from looking back at the file for the previous 2016 application that was discussed at the time, but for whatever reason, whether it was I imagine it was a highways reason rather than the applicant, it was determined that wasn't appropriate. It possibly because there's a large drain that runs up along the east side of this site to the west of Lancaster Way, and therefore a T-junction was more appropriate at the time. So then moving on to Councillor Dilks and Councillor Mills's questions about the access and the impact on the Driscolls on Towngate East. Hopefully you can see my screen. I'll try and sort of zoom in as much as I can on the proposed access. So I'll get the laser pointer. I can't get a. If you can, could you see my mouse there, Chairman?
Yes.
Moving around. Yeah. So effectively, this gap here, if you can see my mouse moving sort of slightly left and right, is that bit of grass verge that sits in between 76 and 74, the two bungalows. So there's the access there for, if I get the numbers the right way around, I think that's the access for 76, and this one's the driveway access for 74. Driscoll. So you can see the access is a wide access anyway, because it's serving the same number of dwellings as already permitted. Previously, the access was effectively the centre point of the access was about where I've left my pointer there with sort of the cross arrows on it. So it is moving ever so slightly closer to the Driscolls. However, it won't be dead opposite. So their access is shown. If you can see where I'll leave the pointer for a second there. That's their access to their bungalow. So it won't be directly opposite the new access in terms of the centre point. Admittedly, it is moved slightly towards them, but equally beforehand it was slightly further towards their neighbours at. Again, I need to get the numbers right, at 76. So it has moved effectively. There's no change really, is what I'm trying to say. So previously it was the same impact it is now on the Driscolls as the neighbours at 76. It's now moved slightly to one way. The reason for the slight movement is because this plot here on the corner, so that's plot 3, if you can see my mouse, I'll leave it there, has changed. So with that, that's created this slight curve then to the access road, which has moved the access point ever so slightly. I mean, when I'm saying the report less than 5 metres, it's not even 5 metres. Like I said, it is just moving it ever so slightly along here. I do fully appreciate what the Driscolls have said in their presentation, and that formed part of their objection to the application as well. I know, there's no change to the access in terms of the number of dwellings, and they accept the number of dwellings. In terms of the impact on their access there, obviously visibility-wise, there's no difference. It doesn't make any difference to them sort of exiting out of their driveway. All I'd say is because the centre point of the access, if I leave the pointer there, is not directly opposite their access. So anybody coming out of the site, coming down the access road here, will come slightly to the left. So effectively the car lining up to turn onto Towngate East would be bang in the middle of 74 and 76. It wouldn't be directly opposite the Driscoll's driveway. So in terms of anybody coming there and sort of turning right, if you like, to head out of Market Deeping, they would come up to a standstill at that T-junction. So at that point, they would be able to see if the Driscolls were looking to move out of their driveway, whether it's in a forward gear or reverse gear. So from a highway safety point of view, we don't consider that this application to amend it changes anything from what's been already permitted. Hopefully that all makes sense, Chairman. I can try and zoom in a bit further if members would wish me to.
Thank you very much for that, Chris.
Chris, where is the roundabout that was referred to?
So the roundabout referred to is off to the right. I can go on to a previous slide that might show it, but effectively it's not shown on this screen. The roundabout is roughly, if you can see my mouse pointer, it's roughly about there.
Sorry, Harish, we're not discussing a roundabout. We're just looking at the variation to the reserved matters, please. And I would ask members to restrict their comments or questions to that particular issue. Is there any other member not spoken or asked a question that wishes to come in, please?
Could I now make my point, because I don't think it was understood earlier at all.
If you were trying to reopen a discussion on traffic and highways issues, the answer to that is no, Charmaine. We are purely looking at the application to change or to slightly adjust the access to the site. All the other issues were dealt with at the application, Charmaine.
That is all I'm talking about. If I could, all I'm asking, because it has a bearing, is we could be talking 5 cars a day that might be an issue here at this junction. We might be talking 300 a day. That would make some difference. And a separate point, just based on what we've just seen, are there any camber issues or anything like that that would prevent the line of sight or could block the line of sight for people leaving the new estate?
Thank you, Charmaine. Chris, are you able to answer that, please?
Yeah, so thank you, Councillor Morgan. So in terms of taking the second part of your question first, in terms of visibility or any changes to that, there's no difference. I can't get the laser pointer up, but effectively, if you can see my mouse there, the access is effectively the centre points move from slightly closer to the driveway for 76 here to slightly closer to the Driscoll's driveway at 74, which is just the other side where that wheelie bin is there, with that sort of being the centre point of the new access, still within sort of opposite this grass verge bit here on the left-hand side. In terms of anybody moving out of Towngate East and from this new junction, there's no change to any visibility lines of sight at all for either pedestrians or vehicular movements. In terms of the number of cars using that junction, again, as Councillor Adams said, we're not revisiting that, I'm afraid. That was all agreed as part of the application previously. But this, so if you can see my screen now, this is the wider site for 240 dwellings. So this is the southern access that we're discussing now to Towngate East. There is a separate northern access as well onto Northfield Road at the top of the site. So the site, it won't be exactly half and half. There's slightly more dwellings that are located closer to Northfield Road, so slightly over 50% would have Northfield Road access as their preferred way in and out. And that would be a quicker way to, if you're coming in or out of Market Deeping and lived effectively in the northern, sort of the first top 2/3 of the site, you would exit via Northfield Road, because that's a much quicker and easier, as in you don't have to go past any houses, straight to the main roundabout onto the A1175 at the end there. So that would be the preferred route in and out. Using Towngate East down here would still probably be the preferable access for this bottom third of dwellings, rather than sort of travel up through the site. But from here, it's a more convoluted way to get out of Market Deeping. So you'd have to go west along Towngate East, go to the junction, then turn right, and then head up back to the main roundabout that way. So in terms of overall numbers, it's 240 in total. That would then be extrapolated down. We'd only really focus on peak traffic movement. So it'd be the peak between 8 and 9 in the morning and 5 and 6 in the afternoon. But obviously highways have looked at that and considered that junction won't be under any pressure at all, and is perfectly safe to use. Effectively, we'd look at sort of number of movements per minute. I imagine from this number of houses, you're only talking sort of a couple of car movements per minute.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Chris. There's no further indication that any member wishes to ask Chris any further questions. So if you'd like to take the presentation down, Chris, thank you. Do members wish to debate this? And bear in mind, we're debating purely the amendment to the change of the access. Is there any member wishes to debate? Can I take that as a no and ask Anita to go straight to the vote, please?
Chairman, do we have a proposer and a seconder?
Oh, I do beg your pardon.
Thank you, Anita. Propose.
Councillor Reid has proposed. Do I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you, Judy. So, yes, Anita, we now have a proposer and a seconder.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Councillor David Bellamy.
Sorry, Bob. I think I did try and put in the chat box to speak.
No, you not in the debate. You didn't, Penny. No, there were no names in the.
Yes, I can see it on my screen, but I don't know.
It wasn't in there when I asked, unless my.
Yeah, Bob. I think we've missed it, Bob.
Well, what is it? Anything that's going to materially affect anything, Penny?
Yes.
I mean, I could rule that we've moved to the vote and it's too late.
I just wondered why, a slight improvement to the curve of that access is not possible to realign it slightly. Obviously, it's probably not as straight as it was in the first instance, but, 5 metres is 18 feet. It's quite a big difference. And just looking, I would have thought, an amendment just to that curve would bring the centre of the access more into line where it was before. It's not major change, is it?
I thought Chris had answered that in his response to other questions, but do you just wish to reply to that very briefly, Chris?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Councillor Milnes. Just to say, we didn't sort of go back to the applicant, to effectively to ask for any changes to the access or any sort of design the scheme. Effectively, we just assessed the application that's been put forward to us, really. Obviously, highways haven't got any objections. They have been consulted. I admit the access has moved ever so slightly, but obviously that's just to fit with the new house types that the
highways ever do.
Can we not interrupt the officer when he's speaking, please? Can we have respect for officers and each other? Thank you.
Very sorry.
No, so I haven't really got anything further to add. Just that we've assessed it on what's been put forward. The officer view and the highways view is that the slight movement of the access. I know I've put up to 5 metres, 18 feet, Councillor Milnes. It's not actually quite as much as that in the centre of that. I've just put that as a sort of a rough estimate, just to sort of show that it is not moving very much, slightly to the west. So from our point of view, I appreciate it does impact on the Driscolls slightly more than it did before, but equally it changes things for the better slightly to the next door neighbour, who were probably equally as affected previously as the Driscolls are now. So it's overall it doesn't change anything, I'm afraid, from what's been permitted previously.
Thank you, Chris. Can we now move back to the vote, please, Anita?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bishnell-Singh.
For.
Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
Abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabery Brown.
For.
Councillor Milnes.
Abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Morgan.
Abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Judy Smith.
For.
Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. I haven't included Councillor Jackie Smith, Mr. Chairman, because she has got network issues. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for and 3 abstentions.
Thank you, Anita. So that is carried. Can we move on, please, to application 6, S192094. Phil Jordan, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just going to upload the presentation. You just confirm when that appears on the screen.
Will do, Phil. Yeah, it's on the screen now, Phil.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, members. So this next application is S192094. It's another Section 73 application, so that's a variation of an existing permission for the old quarry site at Cllr Bob Adams. Members may recall we approved a number of reserve matters applications over the summer that were linked to the S17 application, which in itself was a variation of the original 2014 permission. This application seeks to make an amendment to condition 11 of the outline permission, which is the S17 permission, and that relates to the SSI working method statement. So the main issue here is the impact on ecology and biodiversity. A couple of quick slides just to bring the site into context. So the site's an old quarry to the south of Cllr Bob Adams. I think most of the members that are on committee today visited the site over the summer, and I'm sure other members are aware of this site. So this is again just zoomed in a bit further. You can see it's a fairly large quarry that's had the mineral extracted and is now subject to an application for a residential permission. This slide just shows the red line for the site. A couple of photos showing the north end of the site. The access road has been implemented, and then this is kicking down onto the bottom of the quarry. So the change here really is it brings the SSI working method statement in line with the reserve matters approvals that have already been made. So you can see back in 2014 the area on this map that was hatched red. At the time, this was the area of calcareous grassland within the quarry. A further survey was done in 2017, which showed a reduced area of calcareous grassland. That's now the area in green on this plan, and that's the site area then that the reserve matters applications were based on. So really just a quick evaluation. The existing outline consent is the S171134. That's the permission we're seeking to vary. the applicant seeking to vary. There's a reduced area of calcareous grassland following an updated survey. The reserved matters applications, which are the detail of the layout and the house types, have been based on that reduced area. Although there is that reduced area, we have again since approved details of a landscape and biodiversity management plan, which effectively provides a protection and a positive maintenance regime for that area of the site going forward. We haven't had any objections from the consultees, which include Natural England, who are the statutory consultee for SSIs. The important features of the SSI, which is actually the rock face area, have been protected, and as I've said above, that remaining area of calcareous grassland is now protected through a management plan. So the recommendation is to approve the scheme, and that's subject to the updated schedule of conditions in the additional items paper. And the original Section 106 agreement for the site would need a deed of variation to then tie this approval in with that legal agreement and the obligations within that. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Phil. Does any member have any questions that they wish to put to Phil, please? I can't see anything in the chat box. As long as my chat box is up to date, yes, there is. Charmaine. Councillor Morgan, Charmaine.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to understand why. I appreciate depending on the difference over time, things can change, but why has the area reduced? What is behind that? Is it activities of the developer or owner, or is it just Mother Nature? Has led to that change, so that we're now looking at? It seems to me to be quite a narrower strip of land now that is actually being considered.
Yeah, it was resulting from some of the development work around that, the access road that got put in. At the time, it wasn't sort of development that had taken place, because it was effectively site clearance works within the site, and so as a local authority we didn't have any control over that. What was required then was an updated survey when we assessed those reserved matters applications and the conditions relating to ecology, and at that time we sort of sought to preserve that reduced area going forward, but essentially that reduced area was the result of works that took place within the site.
Sorry, can I just clarify? Are we saying that the original area, it feels like a long time ago now, but I remember looking at this application many moons ago. Are we saying the original area was not protected by the conditions, that we didn't put anything in place to ensure that the development phase didn't damage?
No, I think the honest answer to that, Charmaine, is that the developers, perhaps either inadvertently or otherwise, ignored it or didn't appreciate what they were doing. But I mean, all of that issue was dealt with during that very short space of time you were off the committee, or not on the committee, Charmaine. And yes, members have expressed their concerns and everything else, but we can't go back to where we would rather be. We have to deal with where we are now. And as we said at the previous committee, Phil has done an amazing amount of work in getting the whole of this site to where it is now. Yes, things took place that shouldn't have taken place, but we can't do anything about that now, Charmaine. And I trust members will support the application or the variation as it is before us.
Thank you.
But thank you for raising it, Charmaine. As we know, we've all too often, I'm afraid, get this sort of scenario coming up from time to time. As Penny, you wish to ask a question of the case officer?
Yeah, just on the back of that, just out of curiosity, really. I mean, are there any fines? Do we do anything like that if this sort of thing happens?
I think the difficulty in this case was that you know, and it's right to be raised. I think at the outline stage, which was back in the original outline, which was back in 2014, you're right that there were measures in place that sought to protect that area of grassland as it existed at the time. The difficulty we have with, we can only manage development and site clearance works, which can involve reducing sort of, you know, green vegetation. It isn't actually controlled by the development regime, so there wasn't effectively any sort of breach of condition, and it's only really since that the permission's been implemented through the access road that we now have control through the landscape and biodiversity management plan condition. So no, effectively the works that were done were site clearance works, which fell outside of the definition of development in section 55 of the Planning Act, and we weren't able to take any action at that time, regrettably.
It also has to be said that there were, I'm thinking off the top of my head now, there must have been about 10 or 12 different applications going off on this site over probably the best part of 20 years, I would think, Phil, wasn't there? And it did become a real mess, which is why I've made the comments of the work that Phil has done in bringing it into a manageable scenario. There are no further questions in the conversation box or chat box from members. Does any member wish to have the debate, bearing in mind that it is only a variation to the conditions?
As you say, Mr. Chairman, it's been going on for many, many years. I can remember when I first joined the council planning. But I would, if there's no debate, I would like to propose we accept the recommendation.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a seconder for that, please?
Yeah, happy, Chair.
Charmaine, you put me in the chat box. What does that mean? Councillor Morgan, Charmaine?
I did actually want to say something, but it delayed dropping the me into the chat box. I just wanted to make a comment that the trouble with this is I'm conflicted because it feels like if we approve it, we are in effect rewarding the developer for damaging this area, and if we don't, as you say, what's the point, because it's done now and we're moving forward. It is a dilemma. I just wish there'd been a better way of dealing with it. Just wanted to make that point.
I think we'd all share those sentiments, Charmaine, but we're on the back foot, as very often we are in these cases. Okay, it's been proposed. Did I hear a seconder, please?
Yes, Councillor Reid seconded it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. Can we move on to the vote then, please, Anita?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bushnell Singh.
For.
Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
Reluctantly for.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabry Brown. Pardon me.
Rosemary, can you hear us?
I can now. I can hear you. I couldn't unmute. Yes, for.
Thank you. Councillor Milnes.
Yes, concerned about what went on, but for.
Thank you. Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Judy Smith.
For.
Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That's 11 for and carried, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you, members. Can we move on now to agenda item 7, please? S20-0464. Phil, is this in your hands again, please?
Yes. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Just loaded the presentation up again, so we just
it is on screen.
Thank you. So next application, S20-0464. There's a bit of a theme today. This is another Section 73 application, so a variation on an existing permission. That's the S18-1207 permission, which was the erection of 5 dwellings to the south of Kettering Road in Stamford. The variation sought here is for some very minor amends to the elevational treatments of the approved dwellings. The contentious part of it was the surface treatment and boundary treatment to the public right-of-way that runs through the site. And then there's also an amendment to the footway connection to the existing footpath on Kettering Road itself. So the key issues really is the impact on the character of the area and obviously the heritage assets that are within that setting, and the highway and connectivity impacts as well. So again, just to sort of jog the memory and remind members or members that may not have visited the site recently where we are. The site's to the south of Stamford, south of Kettering Road. Further to the south is the village of Wothorpe, which is actually in the Peterborough administrative boundary. So looking at the site, the bit of land we're talking about is to the south of those synthetic pitches. The construction's well underway with the site. And it's for this, originally this was an allocated site, the 2 fields, but we're just looking at the part to the left here. Sorry, just going back, you can see that diagonal line that runs from the northeast to the southwest. That's the line of the public right-of-way that runs through the site. So what we're really concerned with, as I said, the changes to the house types were very minimal and didn't raise any issues. This public right-of-way that runs through the site is very well used, and there was initially quite a bit of concern about what was proposed in terms of the boundary treatments alongside it. There were bits of close-boarded fencing, and it was felt that that wasn't going to be an appropriate form of treatment for this particular context. So we did a lot of work with the council's landscape consultant and came up with an improved scheme that involves some traditional and high quality walling, and then where there is fencing we went for post and rail fencing that was supplemented by some high quality and native hedging. The finished surface in the end was a sort of a crushed natural stone product. The other amendment, which you can just see to the top of the screen there, it was originally proposed to be a footway that ran off to the west there from the site, and then connected up with an existing crossing point, but there wasn't enough space to fit that footway connection in. So there was a revised crossing point put in that then connects to the footway on the opposite side of Kettering Road. Yeah, so it's probably a bit too small on the screens to go into a lot of detail, but you can just make out up here the diagonal line of the public right-of-way, and you can see some of this hedging that's to the south and these parts here to the north. And then where it's a sort of slightly darker colour, that's a natural wall feature. And then to the top of the screen, you can see where the footpath would run out the front of the site, and then there's a tactile crossing point that would allow you to connect into the existing footway network. Again, this just shows it in a bit more detail. Just based on or following the conditions that are in the main report, I just wanted to include an additional condition, which what this would do is this takes away permitted development rights for boundary treatments, including fences and walls for the boundary that runs along the public right-of-way. So the reason that's necessary is that these homeowners would benefit from permitted development rights, and I guess all the work that's gone into making this an improvement, what we don't want is those homeowners to then use their permitted development rights and put up close boarded fencing, which is what we sought to change in the first place. So that's why we've put that additional condition in, or that's why it's recommended. So a bit of an evaluation. There's the existing consent, which is the S18 permission. Some very minor amendments to the dwellings during the construction phase. The pedestrian connection's been amended. And I've talked in quite a bit of detail about the public right-of-way, surface and boundary treatment. Following the amended plans, there's been no objections from any of the consultees or neighbouring properties. So the recommendation is to approve the application subject to the conditions in the main report and the additional condition that I've gone through. And then again, this would need linking to the existing Section 106 agreement by a deed of variation. Thank you, Chairman. That's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Phil. No speakers again. Does any member wish to ask any questions of the case officer? Phil Jordan, please. Yes, Councillor Harris, can I remind members that we are only talking about the variation, principle of development and everything else is already established. Harris?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With regard to that, the public footpath, because currently there is like a wooden fencing that's about 6-7 foot tall that alongside it. Can we have an example? Do we have a picture of what sort of walling and railings that's going to be put in its place? Because I can't tell from the picture we have got here, the one you have presented, Phil, that it gives me an indication what will it look like. Is it something going to be permanent, or is it something going to be changed later on by the owners of the property?
Are you able to answer that, Phil?
I haven't got any. I mean, I'm just going to read the slide for you to tell you exactly what's proposed there. It would be permanent, Councillor Bisnell thing, in that that's what the removing the permitted development rights would do. That would give us control over the boundary treatments to prevent that being changed for something of a lower quality. In terms of the what's going to go there, so I'm just going to have to sort of look closely at my screen. And the hedging's a beech hedge that goes alongside a post and rail fence, and then where we've got walling, it's a 1.8 metre stone wall that's made of a natural Stamford stone product.
But it is not in place now, is it? Because about a month ago, I walked past there just to have a look around. It wasn't there.
No, it's not in place at the moment. So that's what this is seeking permission for. At the moment they've got that temporary close boarded fencing up to allow the public right of way access through the site while construction's going on. But yeah, this would be a requirement to go in before the dwellings are occupied.
And will there be gates at the end? Because I do hear you mention the gates. Will there be gates on either end for people to walk on that piece of right of way?
No, as far as I know, it would just remain open. It would be within the maintenance arrangements of Lincolnshire County Council Countryside team. So it would be within their ability to put gates in at either end if they saw fit. But this scheme itself just deals with the boundary treatments to the residential properties to the north and south.
Yeah. Also, because I've noticed recently, only last week when I walked there, on the Kettering Road, bordering this building, they have been on the side of the Kettering Road. The thing is being cleared out, and some kind of trenching been dug up. Is there something which goes all the way up to the beginning of on the next field, the right way where it commences? So, is there something that is associated with this application, or will there be a separate application for that?
So that's trenching within the highway margin of Kettering Road, is that?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's possibly some utilities work, or it could be the start of that footway connection that they're seeking permission for to the front of the site, but without sort of seeing it in context or talking to the developer, I wouldn't be able to say with certainty what that relates to.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Harish. Mike Exton, please. Councillor Exton, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's just regarding the boundary of the footpath. Will it still be accessible when all this boundary work has been done? Still accessible for disabled buggies, which a lot of people now are using for walking on these footpaths, and to make sure that the new boundary treatment isn't encroaching and reducing the width of the footpath?
Phil?
Yeah, so there's a requirement for the width there, and it's 2.5 metres wide, which is what the public right-of-way team require. The surface, although it'll be crushed stone, that'll actually be an improvement on what's there at the moment. Effectively, that, although it is quite a well-trodden path, the existing footpath was just a path across the field. So in terms of accessibility, it should be an improvement on what's there at the moment.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil. Councillor Morgan, Charmaine, please.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I'd just like to pick that point up because an awful lot does depend on, if I might, because I think Mike's just raised a really good question. With regards to the service, having had to push my mother in a wheelchair on crushed stone in Belton House, it is absolutely no joke. It's virtually impossible to do it. I'm wondering if we're talking about compacted down to smooth surface, or we're talking about stone sitting on the surface, in which case hard soil, if there was nothing there, is actually a better surface than loose stone. I think Mike's got a really valid point there. It might just need a bit more investigation, dare I say. I've got a couple of questions of my own. First of all, regarding light, will it be lit now, this footpath, or are we just assuming it's not going to be specifically? In which case, would the treatment that we're putting in now reduce the amount of light available on the path itself? And then this is really just dotting the I's, but although we talk about on page 54 that there won't be any impact on the character or heritage of the changes made to the properties, I feel it's really important we should be considering the amenity, obviously, of the residents as well. And we don't particularly...
Charmaine, can you get to your question, please? We'll move to debate later on, please.
Yeah. So first of all, is there any lighting, or will there be? Secondly, can we just clarify that the changes being made to the properties don't impact negatively on the amenity of the residents? I'm assuming not, but I'd just like clarification on that. And then thirdly, I'd like to pick up again Mike's point regarding the surface. Is it loose stones, or will they be compacted down, creating a smooth surface? Because there's a big difference.
Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you for cooperation there. Phil?
That's fine, yeah. There isn't any lighting proposed through this amendment, but bear in mind that previously this was just like I say, a track across a field. I think it would be better lit just because it's going to be going through this sort of now residential area than previously, but the ability to put lights in again would be there for the countryside team if they wish to, but it's not a part of this proposal or a requirement. The surfacing is a compacted crushed granite type stone, and that's been done in full consultation with the countryside team that would manage that footpath, and they are very sort of big on accessibility and understanding what's best for the context in terms of appearance and ensuring that it's going to be accessible to as many users as possible. The changes to the properties themselves, that they don't, they're things like the detailing of the stonework, and they don't result in any amenity impacts for the existing occupiers or any future occupiers either.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Phil. I can tell members I've sat on that committee at County, and they are extremely strong on whatever is coming up new, is as we're required to do by law, actually, is accessible for disability and all the other particular aspects of people do have problems. There are no further questions in the conversation box. Welcome back, Jackie. I'm glad they've got the connection problem sorted for you. The next one I have is Phil, please. Councillor Dilks, Phil, who wishes to speak in debate. So we'll move on to the debate as there are no further questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, this is a very sensitive site in Stamford. We probably all wish we weren't where we are, but we are here. The principle of development, as the Chairman has rightly said, has been established. We lost that one, if I could say that, but so we're where we are, and I noticed that there are no, if I could say, substantial objections to this from the countryside service or all the consultees, except rather oddly, if I could say, Peterborough City Council, and their objection seems to be on the principle of development to me, but that's a comment. So having said all that, I really welcome the work that Phil and the team have done on this one, and no doubt with the developers as well. So thank you for that, and I'm pleased that we are maintaining the footpath through these houses, quite an important footpath close to the centre of Stamford for local people. So there are no grounds I can see for refusal of this. I accept it is a very minor amendment, and I'd be happy to propose it. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. I'll ask for a seconder when the speakers have finished. Councillor Bishnell Singh, Harish, in debate now, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Phil, for the presentations. My concern is with regards to what actually Mike Exton raised, because I've walked the path quite a few times. There are crushed stones in there. Even it's difficult for us to walk. I've got proper walking shoes. Walking there and tend to dig in there. Should there be, because we have to bear in mind, because the field next door, at some stages, the application will come back in again for further development, and these paths will be linked. So I would think so. We have to make probably provision for it to have like prams, pushchairs, and disabled chairs, or even buggies to go across it. I would have liked if we can, instead of having a soft surface like crushed stone, having a brick paved stone, what you call brick paved footpath. It is wide enough. It is about 1.8, as Phil says, and I would welcome that thinking for the future, that we would like that to be obviously there'll be a continuation of it to join across the path. For it, I will not go with other things we have already discussed. The planning has been approved, but just on that, we'll say we would like that to be improving on the surface side, and I would like to have some lights, especially sometimes when it really gets dark in winter there.
Thank you, Harry. Some very pertinent points raised there. Councillor Morgan, something fresh to say, please?
Yeah, I was just going to say really, and second actually Phil's proposal. I think that it makes perfect sense after all the investment that's gone into this to protect it, and therefore I would like to second this. I don't know if there's any way we can get a check done on that surface regarding pushchairs, wheelchairs. I know we hope and think it should be all right, but from bitter experience, whenever we do that, things don't always go to plan. If there's any way we can improve it with that as a matter to be taken away, can we do that? It's a question technically, because otherwise I don't see any issue with this.
Phil, are you able to respond to that? Sounds to me as more of a conversation with developers. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly something I can pick up with the countryside team, and they, I mean, ultimately, they then become responsible for this. Well, they're responsible for it now, and they retain that responsibility of the footpath. And so, if there were accessibility issues across it, I think it would be for them to address that. And I think, as you've said, Chairman, there's possibly a legal obligation on them to do it. But I think, happy to raise that point to ensure that the surface does remain appropriate for all users.
Thank you. In that case, I'm happy to second it.
Thank you, Charmaine. There are no other members indicating they wish to speak in the debate. Councillor Crawford Helen has also indicated that she's happy to second the proposition of Phil Dilks. Can we draw this to a close and go to the vote, please? So we have had it proposed and seconded twice. Are we ready to go to the vote?
Can I just have, Mr. Chairman, can I just have clarity on what the proposition is, please? Proposal.
The recommendation, Anita.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now, I know Jackie Smith's had problems in keeping the link to this particular item. I will leave it with you, Jackie, as to whether you consider you've heard sufficient of the presentation and debate to vote. Otherwise, perhaps you might wish to abstain. So if we can go to the vote, Anita, please.
Certainly. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bishnell-Singh.
For.
Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabry-Brown.
For.
Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Jackie Smith.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Judy Smith.
For.
Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That's carried, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. So if we can now move on to application agenda item 8, S200339. Phil, we're overworking you today because this is in your hands as well. So if you'll go ahead with that particular application variation, please.
Yep, that's fine. So, yeah.
Sorry, Phil. I wonder, we have been going for an hour and a half now, and one or two of us a little bit longer. Could I have members' indulgence to have a 5-minute comfort break, please, and come back at 11:30? I'm not inconveniencing any speakers or members of the public, I don't think. I would appreciate it.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
I would welcome a comfort break. Thank you. Sorry, Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, I second you.
Hi, Phil, you okay?
I'm good, thanks.
Oh, great.
Oh.
Are you at work today, or are you at home?
At home.
Oh, so if I ring you on your normal number, can I talk to you?
Okay, good afternoon, members.
Later on, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Anita? Because we'll need to do a roll call, I think, just to make sure everybody's back, please. See if
You're very faint, Mr. Chairman.
Are you back yet? Anita, it's Bob. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a bit quiet, Bob, because you haven't got your headphones on.
Sorry. Hello, Anita. Can you hear me? Sorry, I haven't put my headphones back on. Anita?
I'm not sure if she's yet returned to the meeting, Chairman. Would you like me to cover the roll?
I'd be very grateful, Shelley, please, yes.
Thank you.
Although I am a minute or so early, so...
If you'd like me to wait till 11:30?
Yes, just so that we're not...
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, what we're going to do with it on our Wednesdays when we go back to normal?
We'll think of something, Mike.
I'm sure you will.
It'll certainly be an opportunity to pick up on the training, Mike. I'm not saying every Wednesday, don't get me wrong, but it will free up a bit of time to bring training back on course.
And also possibly, when the weather gets really bad, we should probably do site visits.
When it gets really bad or when it gets really better?
No. Well, we all seem to go on site visits sometimes in the past where it's bad weather, raining, snowing, fog, cold.
I can't claim to be the good Lord and have any effect on that, Mike.
I thought you might wave your magic wand, Bob.
I wish. Anita, can you let us know when you're back, please?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. I am back at my desk and ready
Marvellous.
to go.
Could you do a roll call to make sure we're all back?
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Councillor Bob Adams.
Here, present.
Councillor Judy Smith.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Bellamy.
Present.
Councillor Bishnau Singh. I'll come back to Councillor Bishnau Singh. Councillor Crawford.
Present.
Councillor Dilks.
Present, Sergeant Major.
Thank you. Councillor Exton.
Present.
Councillor KB Brown. Councillor Milnes.
Present.
Councillor Morgan.
Yes, sorry, here, present.
Thank you. Councillor Reid.
Present.
Thank you. I think Councillor Selby's not here, is he? Apologies.
Just joined 2 minutes ago.
Oh, lovely. Okay, sorry, Councillor Selby. I didn't realise. I do apologise. So, yes. Councillor Jackie Smith.
I know Jackie's still having connection problems.
Right.
Jordan.
Councillor Bishnau Singh.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor KB Brown.
Present.
Thank you. So, Councillor Jackie Smith.
Okay, we'll have to move on, and we'll hopefully Jackie will get connected as we move forward. Okay, Phil, thank you for your indulgence in giving us that few minutes. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Is the presentation still on the screen?
It is indeed, Phil. Yes.
Thanks. So next agenda item, application S20-0339. A bit different to a section 73. This is actually a resubmission of a reserve matters or part of a reserve matters application at Elsie Park in Bourne. I'll talk a bit about what the amendments involve as I go through the presentation. So the main impacts here are the impacts on the character of the area, impacts on residential amenity, and flood risk and drainage issues. So this is the site. It's the southern part of Zone 9 within the Elsie Park development, shown there on the screen, just to the east of the Raymond Mays Way. That second roundabout off the bypass as you come in. So this actually shows the site in its kind of undeveloped form. Some of the members may recall over the summer when we went to the site for Zone 8, we pulled into this part here of north of Musselburgh Way, and we were looking across the site in this sort of north-east direction towards Zone 8. What you've got now to the northeast part of this part of Zone 9 is the 3G football pitch, which has since been installed, and then the remaining part of this site is proposed for residential development, and some of that construction is underway. So this shows the site as it was approved originally under the 2018 permission. So you can see there the position of the football pitch, the location of the housing, and then here to the southeast corner, you've got the balancing pond, which is the drainage element for the surface water within this part of the site. So if I go between them, it's a bit of a spot the difference exercise, but you can see essentially what happened was during the construction of the synthetic sports pitch, the funders who were the FA, originally some of the surface water was proposed to be stored in a sort of underground attenuation feature under the pitch, and the funders weren't happy with that, so there was an amendment to the drainage scheme for this part of the site, and that resulted in you can see here a larger attenuation pond that then had a bit of a knock-on in terms of some of the layout, and so there were some amendments made primarily to this part of the site, and also some minor amendments to these properties as well. But you can see essentially between the two there's very minimal changes to the layout. It was just really to accommodate this increased drainage feature here. So a very sort of quick evaluation. The site benefits from outline consent and reserved matters permission. These amendments are minor amendments to the layout following the increased size of the attenuation pond, and this was a result of the change to the drainage approach for the 3G pitch. The changes to the layout don't have any impact on neighbouring properties or the character of the area. There's been no objections received from any consultees, and that includes the Highway Authority and Elsie Park Community Trust, who are responsible obviously for the overall management of the site. And so the recommendation is to approve the scheme, the amendments, subject to the schedule of conditions in the main report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Phil. Any questions, please, any questions at this stage to Phil? Robert, you indicated you wish to speak or a question or speak in debate, or as you see fit.
Well, either way, this application revision is retrospective owing to severe unfounded issues with drainage, which this puts the record straight as just to be helpful.
Thank you, Robert. Councillor Morgan Charmaine, please. Is it a question? Because we're not in debate.
Yes, it is. I appreciate the overall issue regarding the drainage, but I'm just slightly thrown now by what Councillor Reid has said in that it's retrospective. Are we saying this is already built?
Charmaine, there's been so much history gone off on this site over the months. There's been that many site meetings and so on, and it has been back to committee again, probably during your short term off the committee. I don't really want to go back over all that has happened on this question of drainage. It has been a mammoth problem for Phil again, and for Phil Moore. He was involved with it, and Phil, if you'd like to deal with that very briefly, but without going into all the past detail. That's not to hide anything, Charmaine.
Well, actually, to help, perhaps, I appreciate, because I felt that we had a useful overview with the drainage. My question was very simply that because of the drainage site, in a way we skirted over, I felt, the changes that have been made to the actual development. I just wondered on the top left-hand corner, if I call it that, what were the fundamental changes there? If we could have a very brief summary, so I understand there's no impact on the amenity of the anyone there, because it looked like we were just making that more dense.
Okay. Phil, would you like to deal with that, please?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's part retrospective in that the football pitch has been constructed, and the drainage feature associated with that's been constructed. The residential part is still under construction, so it's not fully complete or retrospective. The changes to the layout don't result in any further impact on any neighbouring properties. The site to the north, which has the Taylor Wimpey site, again, construction hasn't reached the southern part of that, so there's no existing occupiers there. But even in terms of the comparison between the plans, there's no sort of reduction in separation between those existing properties. It's just a movement of I guess sort of houses around the existing layout, but it doesn't fundamentally change any of the residential amenity or result in any impact on any existing occupiers.
Are you content with that, Charmaine, please?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Selby. Ian, please, you wish to ask Phil a question?
Yeah, I do. Thank you very much. I don't know what's up with the FA. That could have doubled up as a water polo pitch. Anyway, the question is, Phil, you may recall that on one of the other areas of LC Park, I asked for some reassurances about safety with regarding kiddies. There was a pond there, you may recall. Can I just ask for some reassurances that the safety precautions that we've got to be implemented there, we're going to have the same safety precautions with this pond, this water thing, please? Thank you.
Phil, are you able to answer that? I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly different pond to the one the pond we were talking about in Zone 8 was an old clay pit and quite deep in places. This is a drainage feature that will should or can remain dry for a lot of the time, and the slopes along the side are much sort of shallower than that clay pit. But that said, there is a condition for the landscaping treatment around the pond, and what we've done on all of these drainage and water features within LC Park is we very much secure those landscaping details in conversation with LC Park Community Trust, who are or will be effectively the body responsible for that maintenance. So yeah, in short, we've got control over that, and should it be felt appropriate that the water in the pond is deep enough that warrants fencing around it, then we'll do that in discussion with the community trust.
Yeah, thank you very much. We just know how curious that some little kiddies can be, and I say it would be certainly don't want anything to happen to any little kiddies. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ian. A very valid point. Councillor Bisnell Singh, have you been able to rejoin the meeting? Okay, Shelley, can you sort of keep pursuing that, please? Councillor Exton, Mike, you wish to ask a question?
Yeah, it's just basically on the ponds, and I'm sure it's all been covered. The health and safety, that warning signs about the water is displayed in a prominent position in all these sites, and I'm sure this has been covered, but it's just a point I'd like to raise.
Thank you, Mike. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I think Phil's made the point that more often than not they're dry, but they're the valid points to raise. Indeed. I can't see any member wishing to ask any further questions of Phil. We still seem to have a problem with Harish in rejoining the meeting, but we will continue. So we've had all the questions, members. Anybody wish to debate before I ask for a proposer and seconder? Nobody who's wishing to debate could have a proposer and seconder that we agree. You can,
Chairman. I'd like to propose. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Robert. Could I have a seconder, please?
Yes, second, please.
Oh, Judy Smith. Thank you, Judy. Right. Can we move to the vote then, members, please? Anita?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor
Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bushnell Singh. He's not.
We can't hear you very well, Anita.
I do apologise. Sorry,
better,
I have
thank
the
you.
microphone up. It's nice sitting up. Councillor Bushnell Singh isn't connected, is he, at the moment? Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabry Brown.
For.
Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Selby.
For.
Councillor Jackie Smith.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Judy Smith.
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That's carried, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Anita. Can we move on then now to application 9 S201152? Is this again in your hands, Phil?
It is, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, presentation there.
Thank you. Sorry?
Presentation up, is it?
Yes, it is, Phil. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, sorry, Phil. Somebody trying to come in there.
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't, but it is now. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Phil, thank you.
Yeah, application S201152, another variation application, this time for a site in off Easthorpe Road in Great Gunnerby. There's a change to one of the approved brick types, the change to the pedestrian footway, and how that connects into the existing footpath network. Again, I'll discuss that in a bit more detail as I go through. So here we're looking at the impact on the character of the area, and then the highway impacts associated with that footpath change. So the site here, you can see the village of Great Gunnerby to the north of Grantham, and the site here is to the northeast of the village. Again, this was the site in its undeveloped state. It was an allocated site. Permission was granted for 44 affordable dwellings on the site back in 2018. Again, construction's well underway with this development at the moment. So this is the layout that was approved under it was 2019, the permission, S191138. And members that were on committee at the time may recall that a previous version of the layout had been refused, and that had these frontage properties much further to the front of Easthorpe Road, and that included at the time the removal of this hedgerow. When members considered the revised application, there'd been an attempt to soften the appearance of the development and to retain this frontage hedge along the front of Easthorpe Road, and that involved setting these properties further back into the site. What this layout did show at the time was a footpath running all the way along the front of the site in between the existing Easthorpe Road and the hedgerow itself. And you can see on the opposite side of Easthorpe Road there's an existing footway pedestrian path that runs and connects into the village. So once construction had started, the issue that developers had was they couldn't get the requisite width of footpath in the front of the site without damaging this hedgerow. And so in discussion with the local planning authority and the highway authority, it was agreed that they would amend the scheme to put in 3 pedestrian connections. So these are all tactile connection points here that allow you to come out of the site and then cross over onto the existing footpath on the other side of Easthorpe Road. And what that allowed was that the hedgerow to be maintained along the front, which was seen as a particularly important feature. And again, although a section of this footway is now not part of the scheme on the development side of Easthorpe Road, it doesn't really go anywhere, and you would have to cross the Easthorpe Road at some point anyway. And again, for members that know the site, this isn't a especially busy road, and so that this was seen as a reasonable solution, and what it did allow was to retain that existing hedgerow, which was seen as an important feature of the site. And here you can just see that in a bit more detail. So you've got these tactile crossing points that allow you to come out of the site and cross over onto Easthorpe Road. One here to the south, one in the middle, and then one to the sort of northwest part of the site. Since the agenda has been published, I've just made updated some conditions. So there was a materials plan, a landscape master plan, and a boundary treatment plan that all had the original layout as a base layer, and that base layer has now been updated to reflect these changes, and so the revision number just moves on, but there's no other changes proposed to the layout or those details. So a quick evaluation, the site's got an existing consent that's been implemented under S191138. The change to the brick type is, it was a supplier issue. There's no visual difference between the bricks that are being used. The pedestrian connection or pedestrian footway has been amended, but that's to ensure that the hedge is retained. There's been no objections from any consultees, and that amendment in particular has been done in consultation with the highway authority. And so the recommendation is to approve the amendments subject to the schedule of conditions in the main report and the amended conditions that I've mentioned in this presentation. And again, this needs linking to the existing legal agreement by a deed of variation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Phil. Have we any questions from members to the case officer, please? Let me get my chat box up. Hello, what have I lost? Don't believe I'm going to have technical problems here, hopefully. Bear with me. No, I'm back again. Okay, I can't see any questions from members in the chat or conversation box.
There aren't any, Chairman.
No.
There are. I've just put one in. I wish to ask Phil a question, please.
Yes, Rosemary, you carry on.
Okay. As this concerns my ward, I have just been on to the other councillor, and he says he had no idea there was a proposal to remove the conditions.
No.
No, it's the condition regarding the hedge. I won't be at all happy if you remove that condition where they should keep the hedge. Basically, when we first passed this, and I think you'll notice that I voted against anyway, but we've had issues here, let's put it like that. The residents weren't notified when it was coming up for discussion again, so they couldn't come and put their point. So we councillors have had a really slap on the hand. But one thing that we did feel, or everybody felt, on the parish council was that where they were wanting to remove the hedge, it was actually a public pathway where people used to walk down, from what I understand. And the idea of keeping the hedge in the original, when we passed it, was so that it would keep it a little country area for that the housing was going to pop into, but it would still be very countrified on the eastern side. So what I'm trying to ask is, could we ask you, Phil, can you please not remove that condition where it says they have to keep the hedge? Because I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the Great Gunnerby residents when I say that that is one point we specifically wanted kept in. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. I think if I read it right, we're protecting that hedge even further, aren't we, Phil?
Yeah, I mean that's the condition that's being removed is it's the pedestrian footway that's in front of the hedge, and that's being replaced with the connection points that are shown on the plan. But the point of doing that was specifically to protect that hedge along the front of East Thorpe Road. The hedge further to the east of the site where the public right-of-way runs, again, that's retained through the landscape plan, and there's no proposals to amend that or vary that either.
Are you content with that, Rosemary? I read it as sort of strengthening the situation where the hedge was concerned, not weakening the situation.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you very much, Phil. Yes, that's fine with me.
Thank you, Rosemary. Councillor Selby, Ian, wish to ask a question, please?
Thank you very much. I totally agree with Rosemary with regarding the hedge. The hedge is the priority. My question is this, and it's probably really should be for the applicant. Why on earth was this not better measured up first time round? Because it is poor. It really is poor. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't know whether you want to answer that, Phil. I mean, it's not part of the discussion on reserved matters, but if you've got a brief response, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to the Kettering Road situation in that, and I'm not seeking to defend, developers in any way here, but those footway connections actually come from the Highway Authority, so they're imposed upon the developer, and they're not necessarily part of their proposal. And then at a later sort of following planning permission, they then have to go through this technical consent process with the Highway Authority, and sometimes following that further survey work, I think it becomes apparent that there either isn't room within the highway margin to put in what was asked for, and then that then results in these amendments. So yeah, in an ideal world, it should all be planned for and work at the original stage, but it unfortunately it doesn't always, and then we have to look to resolve them through these amendments. But I take the point and understand it's not great to be doing it at a later date.
Another point well made, Ian. Thank you. Councillor Morgan, Charmaine, please, a question.
Thank you. I totally support the protection of the hedgerow, and second Ian's comments really. But what just a slight concern I have, knowing what it's like even in my area at night, will there be street lighting associated with these crossings? Because otherwise we could be creating an unsafe situation with people having to cross. I know we say they might further along, but that's on the main road. The crossings are very different. Will there be street lights or some form of lighting to make sure it's safe? And also very clear road markings as well. What form will these crossings take?
Thank you, Charmaine. Phil?
Yeah, there is some existing street lighting on the along Easthorpe Road itself. So there would be some lighting in place. There's no further lighting proposed through this application.
Okay, thank you for that. I can't see any further questions or members indicating they wish to ask questions of Phil.
Sorry, may I come back on that Bob, please?
Very quickly.
Yeah, sorry, because I think this is really important. At night, at the moment, there is no, well, for starters, no lighting because later it's all being switched off. But to me, what's key here is that these crossings are telling pedestrians it's safe to cross here. That's why we've designed it in this way. So I'm not satisfied that that's good enough answer, that there is nothing there.
I'm going to stop you there, look, because we're looking at variations to what has been agreed, and street lighting is not in this particular application or referred to in the application. I think Phil will take on board the comments that are being made, and showing a picture there where there is other street lighting. So I will stop you a little bit short there because it's deviating from the actual proposal, Charmaine. Sorry to do this, but I'm sure the comments you've already made will be taken up with Phil and considered by Phil as this development goes forward.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So I'm just showing here. So this is Easthorpe Road itself, and you can see towards the bottom end you've got an existing street light. That this is close to one of the crossing points. This is another existing street light, and then you have further street lights up. So I think there is, you can see there is some existing street lighting there, so it will effectively be lit.
I think looking at some of those pictures, it might be a case for getting onto highways to cut back some of the trees so the existing street lights are more effective. But okay, the point's well made, Charmaine, but they're not really totally applicable to the application before us. But as I say, I'm sure Phil has noted those comments and will do whatever he can if any improvement can be made. So there are no other speakers, questions, any further debate? Robert Reid, Councillor Reid, Robert, you've proposed.
Mr. Chairman, can I come back in?
Very briefly, Rosemary, yes, please.
I'd like to support everything that Charmaine said, and I would like, if possible at this stage, for us to put an extra condition on it. We seem to be able to take them off. Why can't we put one on? That area where they are building should have lights. We're not certain who's going to be living there, but I do know the residents of Easthorpe Road at the moment are very worried about this development. So I wondered if there was any possibility of adding a condition.
You've obviously got some support in the background there, Rosemary. Phil, are you able to respond to that?
I mean, the responsibility for street lighting would come down to the highway authority who are going to adopt these roads, and I think from my perspective that those pictures I just showed show that the existing road is it does benefit from street lights already, and so I don't think I think it would fall outside our remit to put a condition on requiring street lighting, but if if there were further lights to be put within the highway, which are the responsibility of the highway authority, then that would be for them to do and manage themselves.
Okay, but I'm sure officers have taken note of what have been said by yourself and Charmaine, Rosemary, and if anything can be brought forward, I'm sure they'll keep it in mind. Now, I'm getting a little bit confused, not confused, but I just want to clarify. Councillor, dearie me, right, you're now back in the meeting, Councillor Bisnell Singh, this is. Are you back in, Councillor?
Yeah, yes, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Crawford, Helen has put a comment in. Helen, we don't debate with ourselves. This is purely because you've said reply to Councillor KB. This is the opportunity to ask questions of the case officer, please.
Okay, well, I haven't got one for the case officer, thank you.
Okay, you might be able to make your point when we go into debate, Helen.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jackie Smith, is a question, yes?
Yes, please.
Yes, far away.
I assume, but perhaps you could just confirm that the new housing will have street lighting, and hopefully that will reflect across to the existing buildings and the road.
Phil, are you able to? Thank you, Jackie. Are you able to answer that one, Phil?
That road through the site, as I understand it, is to be an adopted highway, and so again, it would be usual for street lighting to be put in as part of that adoption process, which it sits slightly outside of what we do in planning. It would be through the section 38 agreement between the developer and the highway authority. But yeah, usually there would be additional street lighting for any new adopted roads.
Thank you for that, Jackie. Councillor Bisnell Singh, I've got your note in the conversation box. Harish, thank you that you won't be able to vote because you consider you haven't heard all the application. Councillor Milnes, Penny, please. Question to the case officer.
Yes, thank you, Phil. Just to clarify again, who'd be responsible for putting any extra lighting on Easthorpe Lane? You know, if people ask in the future, does it fall to the parish council
I've got to be careful here, Penny, because as I've said to other members, we're debating the variations, not additional conditions and additional items. So I think I'll let it go for now, but I will call a halt on this because I think we're going down a path more, over and beyond what is in the application. So take that one as the last one, Penny, from you. Continue and then Phil to answer. And then I think we need to draw a line under street lighting, as important as it is, but it's not part of this application.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
Yes, I can see you in the box now, Mike. Penny, do you wish to make your point a bit further to Phil?
Yeah, it's just a suggestion regarding the street lights. As I used to work with the electricity board,
yeah,
you could have a gentle request to the developers to put a street light actually on the entrance to the site where they cross the road. Then the street lighting is a funny thing. They are certain distances apart. But if you kindly ask the developers when they install the street lights in the site, put one on each of the entrances.
Thank you for that, Mike. I am going to call a halt to this. Phil, this is not within our remit, is it? This is highways, I would have thought. But can we pass these comments about the concerns for street lighting to highways and move on?
Yeah, I mean, on all of our, decision notices, the Highway Authority often asks for an informative, which is about the street permitting and the adoption process. And yeah, my understanding is that sits slightly outside of the planning remit and goes through that sort of technical adoption process with the Highway Authority. Any additional lighting along Easthorpe Road that's outside of the red line would again be done, with the Highway Authority, and sort of, who bears the cost of that? It can be done through a developer. I'm not aware that, I see in parish councils do sometimes request further lighting, but I'm not sure of the funding arrangements for that. But yeah, as I say, it's sort of, it's outside of the remit of this particular planning application.
Thank you, Phil. Councillor Morgan, you wish to come back very quickly with something not to do with lighting?
Yes, thank you. I had a toss-up earlier, lighting all this. Yeah, it's to do with the hedge and the maintenance of the hedge. Are our conditions strong enough to protect who's responsible for the hedge?
Helen, this was all dealt with at the original application. We're talking about the variations, please. Does that cover the hedge?
Well, I understood that's what we were talking about, the conditions relating to the footpath and the hedge. That's why.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Yes, sorry. The reason I'm asking is because I have known where a developer has retained a hedge at 6 inches high. So I just wanted to be clear that we have protected, especially after what we've just looked at earlier, that we have adequate protection in to ensure the hedge, shall we say, retains its height and is maintained. Given obviously there'll be visibility issues and things like that with access points.
Let's leave it at the question, Phil. Is there anything that we can do on that? Can you answer that? My recollection with the original application was it's the developers who will maintain all the landscaping.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at in the agenda pack, if you look at condition 11, which is obviously pulled through from the
original application,
12 actually, which are pulled through from the original permission. Before any of the dwellings are occupied, we've required a landscape management plan, and this existing hedge is within that landscaped area, and within that plan, that's how we would secure the details of exactly how and what was going to be maintained. Again, members may sort of recall this is a registered provider, so it's an affordable development, and so a lot of the properties do retain in the ownership of the developer here, and so it's very much in their interests to put in place sort of a positive maintenance regime. Condition 12 is the sort of the standard one, which I mean that covers new landscaping effectively, but it requires replacement of anything that fails within the first 5 years. But essentially between those two conditions, we've got control of the landscaping details, both existing and proposed features.
Thank you, Phil. I'm going to move on now. Thank you for that, Charmaine. I hope you're reassured that it was all dealt with at the original approval. Councillor Judy Smith, Vice Chairman, has had to leave for another meeting. Thank you, Judy. Thank you for your contribution and support, and look forward to seeing you the next time. There's no other member indicating that they wish to take part in the debate, etc. Could I have a proposal, please, that we approve go with the approval?
I'll approve it.
Sorry, who was that, please?
Jackie.
Jackie, you'll propose. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second, Councillor.
I didn't hear quite who's second. There were 2 or 3.
Helen Crawford.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
So can we move? It's been proposed and seconded. Can we move to the vote, please, Anita?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Thank you, Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabry Brown.
Abstain on that one, please.
Thank you. Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Selby.
For.
Councillor Jackie Smith.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That's 10 for and 1 abstain, so it's carried, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. We move on to agenda item 10, application S201252. Again, Phil Jordan, please.
Thank you, Chairman. It's the last one from me. You'll be pleased to hear.
You've heard your corn today, Phil.
Application S201252. It's another amendment to Section 73 application to the approved plans for an industrial building adjacent to Holscott Industrial Linings Limited on the edge of the Alma Park estate in Grantham. So we're looking here at the impact of the changes on the character of the area and any highways impacts. So you'll see the site here. You can see just below the red circle, that's the existing Alma Park estate. The existing Holscott building is just where the bottom of the red line runs, and then there's the just to the north of the site is the publishing and storage facility, and any members that have driven past there recently will see that construction's well underway for this particular building. So again, this was the site in its undeveloped state. You can see the existing Holscott building just to the south of the site. So we're members, it was approved at Planning Committee last year, 2019, a new facility here, a storage building, which linked in with the existing Holscott business. The amendment actually reduces the size of the building, so it takes a little bit off either end, and reduces the length of the building. So you can see this is the approved layout, and then the amendment just a bit shorter on the front, but effectively that reduces the scale of the building. I think the reason for that was just down to the operational needs of the business as the scheme came forward. So in addition to the recommendation in the main report, I've just put we're going to suggest an additional condition which effectively just confirms the use to be B2 and B8. Again, members will recall at the last meeting we had a bit of a discussion around that site in Spitfire Park in Deeping, that there's various changes to the use class order at the moment. The creation of the new E class, which is quite a wide and flexible use class, and although B2 and B8 still sit outside of that use class, there is the ability to move within the B classes, and just really for the avoidance of doubt, we wanted to be certain that we're granting permission here for a B2 and B8 facility, which is general industry and storage, and not inadvertently allowing something that can then move very flexibly between that E class. So the existing consent S191255, this just reduces the scale of that building. It was previously 90 metres long, it's now been reduced to 78.5 metres. That has a knock-on in terms of the floor space, a reduction in that as well. There's been no objections received from any neighbouring properties or consultees. There was no legal agreement for this building, and so the recommendation is to approve the application subject to the conditions in the main report, and with the addition of that additional condition that just confirms the use. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Phil. Questions to the case officer, to Phil, please? I can't see any in the conversation box at the moment.
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman.
You're not in the conversation box, Harish?
Oh, sorry, I better put it on quick.
Oh, no, carry on, Harish.
Yes, Phil, could you just refresh my mind? B8, what kind of storage is it used for? Is it for storing just paper, dry material, or chemicals or things like that?
Well, the use class B8 is just storage, so it doesn't specify, particularly, what you can store. Holscott, they're I believe a sort of plastic linings manufacturing facility, and so it would be in connection with that existing business use, but the use class order doesn't specify particular products that can and can't be stored.
I think the point there, Harish, if they wish to store toxic or similar type of materials, they would have to come back with a fresh planning application. Is that? I think I'm right in saying that, Phil, aren't I?
That's what I was worried about, Mr. Chairman.
I guess that. Am I right? I'm right, Phil, aren't I, in saying that they would have to come back with another planning application?
I'm not. Well, I think they would be allowed to store effectively anything that is storage, but I suspect there's other controls over toxic materials that sit outside of the planning remit, and
there is.
Health and safety legislation around that, which again we don't stray into other legislation, but there would effectively be controls over that. Yeah, it comes under the controlled substances. I did deal with it years ago. I can't remember the detail now, but they would, Harish, if they wish to do other than sort of standard storage stuff, they would need to go to the health and safety, etc., and down those other routes. Okay, thank you.
Are there any obligations on part of the applicant that they should stipulate what sort of storage or some material they can in any of these applications?
I think Phil said no, there isn't, unless they're non-standard type stuff. Okay, can we move on to Councillor Morgan? Charmaine, please, questions to Phil.
Actually, I think the point might have been made earlier, so I'm happy to leave mine, actually.
Thank you, Charmaine. Councillor Mills, Penny.
Yes, thank you, Phil. I'd just like to ask you, because of the visual nature of that site and the landscaping that we required, is there a little bit more room for more landscaping now? A bit of improvement if the building has been pushed back a bit?
Sorry, Penny, I've got to pull us back. We are looking at the variations to the conditions we approved a while ago, and all those questions would have been dealt with then. So, I mean, I'll invite Phil to answer, but let's go down routes that are not pertinent to this particular application and the variations that we're being asked to approve, please. Yeah, I mean, I think the landscaping details have been approved, and they're tied into this permission. Looking at the plan, my understanding is that the part of the surface water drainage attenuation was within that area to the front of the building, and so I think from a sort of an engineering perspective there would be limitations on planting more trees in that area that could potentially interfere with that surface water drainage. But yeah, we have already approved sort of a good landscaping scheme in consultation with our landscape architect. Thank you, Phil. I can't see any other questions that members wish to put to Phil, so I'll move on to the debate. Does anybody wish to debate the application, please? If not, could I can't see anything in the chat box. Harish, you're doing it again, Harish. Come again when I've moved on. Is it anything that? Oh, you're going to propose the approve. Thank you, Harish. I appreciate that. Is there a seconder, please?
I'll second it, Chairman.
Councillor Reid is happy to second. Can we move to the vote then, please, Anita?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bishnau Singh.
For.
Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor KB Brown.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Selby.
For.
Councillor Jackie Smith.
For.
Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That's carried, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. Before we let Phil go, can we say once again, Phil, for a tremendous amount of hard work you put into all these applications and previous ones. Thank you for that. And we look forward to seeing you on the next occasion.
Thanks, Chairman.
Take care, Phil. Okay, we move on to application 11, agenda item 11, application S2015-41. This is in the hands of Daniel Allen. Just remind me, Daniel, is this your first presentation meeting?
Thank you, Chairman. It's not my first committee presentation, but it's the first one since it's gone virtual.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you very much. If you could just let me know when you can see the presentation.
Well, that's coming up. I'm sure all members will agree that they are pleased to see an application come forward at long last to deal with those ex-police houses on Stonebridge Road. Yeah, it's in front of us. Thank you, Daniel.
No problem, thank you very much. So to reiterate, the application is S201541.
Daniel, can I just, sorry to stop you, just for the record, Councillor Reid has left the chamber and he will not be taking part in any of this discussion or debate or vote. Sorry, I just sort of put the record there. Thank you. Sorry, Daniel.
No problem, thank you. So to reiterate, the application is S201541 and relates to a plan of permission for relevant demolition of 5 dwellings on the site on Stonebridge Road in Grantham. The key issues for the application is the impact on St Anne's conservation area, the area itself and the neighbouring residential amenities. So as you can see on the site location plan, the application site is situated to the south of Stonebridge Road. It consists of 5 dwellings, and the site is the former Lincolnshire Police Station site, which was purchased by the council in September last year. The land to the west of the site is also part of the former Lincolnshire Police Station, which is now utilised by Grantham College. And the building itself, Stonebridge House, is a Grade 2 listed building. And you'll see on the later slides how these dwellings that are in relation to the application have deteriorated over time. So just to reiterate, the site is within St Anne's conservation area. The proposal itself is for the demolition of the 5 dwellings. We have not yet got a scheme for future development, but it is under consultation. And they're looking for a future development scheme in relation to a residential scheme for the site. I'll just flick through some photos for you so you can see the site itself. So this first photo is the approach to the site coming from Beacon Lane near the cross junction of Beacon Lane and Sandon Road. And this second photo is approaching from Sandon Road. As you can see, there's some trees beyond the boundary wall. These are just outside of the application site, but it is worth noting they are protected by a tree preservation order. But I've got some consultation comments which I'll come back to later on in the slide regarding those. And these remaining slides just show the deteriorating state of the properties. As you can see, they've been left to deteriorate over quite a substantial period of time, which will be evident as I go through the photos. And that's just an image from the rear of the properties as well. So in terms of the consultation responses, you'll see from the additional items paper, we have now got some additional comments from the conservation officer. These have stated no objections and reiterated that the buildings are beyond any realistic restoration. And they do currently have a negative impact on the conservation area itself. The arboriculturalist has stated that there are no particular trees on the application site of particular interest. Worthy of a tree preservation order, although just outside of the site there are trees that are protected, which I showed you on the images before. Environmental protection have outlined no objections, but required a scheme to address any management of asbestos if it is found on the site. And again, highways have raised no specific objections, but required a demolition management plan and method statement, which we have attached as by way of condition. So overall, really, the evaluation is that the properties are considered to have been unoccupied for quite a significant period of time and have not been maintained within a large portion of that period of time, and they're just continuing to deteriorate on the plot at the moment. And due to the poor condition, it is considered to have a negative impact on the area, so the removal, the demolition of the dwellings itself can be seen to be providing a positive impact on St Anne's conservation area. The submitted information does also state that with the increased deterioration, there is increased risk of safety on the site as well. So the recommendation is to approve the application conditionally in accordance with the main agenda, but also the slight revision to one of the conditions which just included an extra reason for the condition. So those conditions include the asbestos management scheme that we've requested for submission, and also the demolition management plan for the application. That's the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Just let me get my system working properly again? Yeah. So just for clarity, so before we go on to questions and debate, Daniel, all we're being asked to approve today is the demolition of those buildings and the removal to clear the site. We're not talking about any future development. That will be subject to a separate planning application to come forward. I just say that to just to focus our minds on what we're actually being asked to approve. So thank you for that. Questions then to Daniel, Councillor Morgan, Charmaine.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I ought to state that this is actually in my ward, and also I was heavily involved in getting the St Anne's Conservation Area working with SK. So
I understand that.
My concern here, I totally support instantly the removal of these houses.
Absolutely.
I think it's quite disgraceful the way that they've deteriorated or been allowed to deteriorate over many years. But what's just slightly concerning me, and it's to do with the green street scene, which hasn't been particularly picked up on, and it's kind of not the right time of year to be illustrating that. Because clearly, if you looked at the photographs, you're looking at a few tree trunks and stalks and not much else. But that whole line of houses did have, in effect, quite a lot of greenery on the front. Whether they're, quotes, TPO level trees is another matter. But my concern is, if we remove all the vegetation now, subsequently, when it comes back to future application, will we be told, oh, well, there's nothing there, so therefore, if nothing goes in, it's not going to be any worse? Or will we be able to protect that green line, which has been there for, I have to say, hundreds of years, actually, on that particular route? That's one question. The second is to do with the site itself and the management of the demolition. It's a horrendously busy road, absolutely horrendous. Everyone will know it's a key route into Grantham, from the north of Grantham. Therefore, would the management plan be looking at the timings during which this work will be operating? Because I can see otherwise we could have utter chaos in that area if we don't have some sort of constraints around that, i.e. avoiding rush hour, for example.
Yeah, so if I take the first point in relation to the greenery and the trees, our tree officer has provided comments in relation to the site itself, in which he stated none of the trees within the site, the application red outline site, were worthy of a tree preservation order, whilst he did outline that the trees outside of the site are worthy and have already been protected. The ones specifically within the application site are not currently protected and aren't worthy of protection. And in relation to the traffic management and the demolition statement, that will include, as you'll be able to read on the condition, any phasing works, any access positions, any construction in relation to them, the parking of vehicles, how the site's operated. So there's quite a lot orientated around the access to the site and how that will be achieved within the site.
Yes, sorry, if I can pick. Right, first of all, my point.
No, we're not having a debate.
No.
Charmaine, I'll come back to you if you put yourself in the chat box again, please. Mike Exton.
He hasn't answered the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question was exactly the question that you asked about further development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Charmaine, I think it would be right for this committee to acknowledge the work that you did in getting that area into a conservation area. I think that was a great piece of work, and I'm sure it will be to the benefit of Grantham residents obviously for years to come. So we do acknowledge that and thank you for that. Councillor Selby is wishing to speak in the debate. We're not there yet, Ian. So Charmaine, very briefly, come back with your other point, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I could read the report. I was aware that what the tree officer's comments were. My comments were that actually the value on the greenery was on this street scene, which doesn't really get particularly mentioned in the report, and preserving that in some way in any future development. That's all I'm saying. If we can do that, my worry is if we clear all the greenery now, does that leave us in a position where in the future a development plan could be put before us and we can say, well, actually there isn't any greenery there now, so there's no detriment if it doesn't go in? Or is it something is that a concern that's wrong, that we could require that we?
Sorry, Charmaine, you're repeating the point you made first time. Can I say we have now got a very, very good landscape consultant in Dave Singleton, who is very keen, because this will come before the design pad, for which David Singleton obviously is a key member. I think I might suggest you, Charmaine, that you contact David Singleton and express your thoughts to him, and I'm sure he will take them into consideration when the design pad looks at any future application coming forward.
Thank you, Bob. That's a really good idea, actually. But the second point is I didn't get a straight answer to my question about whether our plans include timing, because it's so important on that site, unless we want to halt Grantham, basically.
Yeah, before Daniel comes back, if you remember, Charmaine, some while ago, there was a very large extension to the girls' grammar school, almost opposite where we're talking about now, or in that same vicinity, and that there was a very, very stringent traffic management plan that was insisted on by Highways, and I'm absolutely certain that Highways will equally insist on a very, very rigorous traffic management plan. But and I will see through wearing my other hat, Charmaine, that happens as far as the county is concerned. But Daniel, would you wish to come back?
Yeah, so the condition in relation to the demolition method statement doesn't particularly specifically state the timings that they will be able to access the site. I mean, it might be something we can get them to submit with the when they're trying to discharge the condition, but at present we've not got any information in terms of the specific times that they would be entering the site.
Sorry, am I right, Daniel, that any traffic management plan would have to have the approval of Highways? I'm pretty sure I am, but
yeah, I mean, when we get the information, we will be sending the consultation through to LCC Highways to get their comments.
And it will not be endorsed until Highways have given their seal of approval, if that's the right expression. Does that give you some comfort, Charmaine?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
The microphone's off, Mr. Chairman.
Bob, are you there?
Is your microphone off?
Sorry, Bob, we can't hear you, mate.
Sorry, Bob.
Harish, you've indicated in the chat box that you wish to ask a question.
Yes, Mr. Zack, quickly to the officer. I was just wondering, you know, those trees that has got TPOs on, are they scheduled for it to be pollarded, or taken as we are in winter, it can be treated now for it before the summer comes in or spring?
Yeah, so there's no specific indication within this application that they will be worked to the TPO trees, as they do fall outside of the application site. But within the information we require through the conditions, they will also should also be providing information as to where those trees are situated and how they will be protected and not impacted by any of the demolition work.
Thank you.
Is it on the same point, Harish? Councillor Bisnath Singh? You're muted.
I think that's me,
No,
Bob.
I have finished, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harish. Jackie, you're next, please. Jackie Smith.
Yeah, I think it sort of crept in under Harish's name initially. Yeah, Charmaine's already discussed the traffic problems along there, but this will be a substantial development, and I'm conscious that it is in the area of lots of schools and lots of heavy traffic, and that the building work, well, clearing and building works will generate a lot of mud and so on onto the roads. So is it possible that we can somehow make sure that with all the other proposals that we're putting in about safety of the roads and so on, that part of the schedule includes keeping the roads as clear as possible, bearing in mind the number of younger people. There are some junior schools in the area, and their safety as well as drivers with muddy roads.
Thank you for that, Jackie. Daniel's nodding as I look at the screen here, and I'm sure highways, as they were when the girls' grammar school work was being done for quite a while actually. But Daniel, I'm no doubt that will form part of the traffic management plan, as well as the restrictions of use hours, etc., that could adversely affect school or children going to school. But
yeah, that's correct. And also just to add to that point, Councillor, there is a point condition under point E requiring wheel washing facilities as well, to ensure that any vehicles that go onto the site are sufficiently clean before they relieve the site as well.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, Jackie, happy with that?
Yes, thank you, Bob.
Thank you kindly. There are no others.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to put something in.
Okay.
Sorry.
I didn't bring my crystal ball with me this morning, Mike.
I know, it's just a quickie.
Yeah, please.
If an outline planning permission comes through later on in life, this management plan will be included in that outline planning, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Speaking debate. So Councillor Selby, I think, is the first one to indicate he wished to speak in the debate.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, a warm welcome to Daniel to our Zoom meetings, Daniel, and thank you very much indeed for your presentation. This is excellent news. This application it really is, and it's long overdue. Just a point about your traffic management plan. I hope you'll bear in mind that there is the ambulance station that is literally just around the corner. So I hope that will be taken into consideration with any traffic plan. Just to say, I recall just a few years ago, I attended a meeting at the college where they had a presentation with what the college were actually going to do, and they were going to be putting some buildings up that had wooden frontages on, and really I thought that was totally out of keeping. We've got one on, you may notice, Mr. Chairman, on St. Catherine's Road, there's with wooden front, and it looks dire after a few years once it's worn off. So I hope there's one benefit that we're going to have from that these buildings are hopefully not going to have those wooden frontages on. Okay, in the Swiss Alps, but not really for Grantham. It's out of keeping, I would suggest. Although I'm disappointed that the colleges are not going to be benefiting from this particular site, I am pleased that the council are taking this forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be coming up in the future. So yeah, I'm really pleased by this. I'm also pleased that there'll be no harm as well, as it's mentioned, to the listed building of Stonebridge House. So all in all, looking forward to what's coming in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ian. Councillor Phil Dilks. Phil, please speak in debate.
Yeah, I'll be brief if I can. I'm not a Grantham councillor, as you know, but looking at the photographs and
we're all district councillors, Phil.
Yes, we are, but yeah, I respect the Grantham councillors, that's what I'm trying to say. But clearly this is an improvement, and I support what all comments that have been made, particularly what Ian's just said. And also I'm pleased what Jackie said about the wheel washing. Sometimes we forget that. I note that it was already in there, but I do welcome them comments, and we should pay mind to that, particularly in the town, of course. I support what you say about, I hear the concerns about, getting rid of the greenery, but to be honest, I think you've really got to clear the site of the greenery to see what you've got before you start the next step, providing you protect, what needs protecting, which is the the trees that have the preservation. You know, I think that is a step forward. And what you said about David Singleton is absolutely right. Of course, this is, you know, it is an SK owned site, and I have to say I am confident that we're creating an opportunity here in what's frankly you know, part of the site is very derelict at the moment, so it's an improvement. But I'll leave it to the Grantham councillors to propose and second it. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Phil. There are no other indications of anybody wishing to take part in the debate. Excuse me, Councillor Morgan, Charmaine, you've indicated that you would wish to propose that we approve this application. If you'd like to do that now, and then I'll call on a seconder.
Yes, certainly. I do think that this is very much a welcome change. I think there'll be cheers all round. I think it's also excellent news actually that SK has taken on this site, and I do look forward to working with the officers regarding and councillors for the future of it. Thank you very much for your recommendation also regarding the landscaping, Bob, and I'd like to propose that we accept this proposal.
Thank you, Charmaine, and I'm going to jump in straight away and second this. My involvement with this site, as Ian Selby has said, I was involved in the talks with Grantham College many moons ago now. It's amazing where time flies, where time goes to. But I'm sure all residents of Grantham and the district will welcome this application coming forward, and we'll look forward to seeing how it develops out in the future. So with Councillor Charmaine Morgan proposing, I'm happy to second. Can we move to a vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bishnau Singh.
For.
Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor Cabry Brown.
For.
Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Selby.
For.
Councillor Jackie Smith.
For.
And Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That's carried, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Anita. Agenda item 12, that has been S20-0065, that has been withdrawn by the applicant. So we can move straight on to agenda item 13, which is in the capable hands of Hannah Notch, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just load my presentation up now, so if you could let me know when you can see it.
Yes, it's visible, Hannah, thank you.
Thank you. So application S20-1580 is seeking listed building consent for the insertion of stained glass windows in 3 lancet windows on the southern elevation of St Vincent's on St Vincent's Road in Grantham. The key issue considered within this application is the impact on the character and appearance of the listed building. This is an aerial view of the site taken from Google Maps. You can clearly see the site indicated by the red arrow. To the south of the site, you'll see Cold Harbour Lane, and to the west is St Vincent's Road and Tollbar Road. The site falls to the end of a cul-de-sac off St Vincent's Road. So this slide shows a photograph of the existing southern elevation of St Vincent's. The window which is proposed to host the stained glass can be seen in the single-storey pitched roof element to the right of your screen. This is a close-up photograph of the window, and it is the upper half of this window that is proposed to be replaced. This is an internal view of the window looking out onto the rear garden from the current kitchen. So this is the proposed stained glass window plan. The design for the windows is based on a landscape design, with each individual pane hosting a crest that represents a stage in the building's history. So it is considered that the proposal will not remove any historic fabric from the building, and the Conservation Officer has raised no objection to the proposal. Overall, it's considered that the proposal would enhance the southern elevation and the building overall. Therefore, the recommendation is for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. And I think The occupant of this premises, who of course is a councillor, should be congratulated on a very, very sensitive treatment of those windows. That's great. Anybody wish to ask any questions of the case officer, of Hannah? Anybody wish to participate in a debate? Can we then please move straight to the vote, please, Anita?
Chairman, we haven't had a proposal.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. You're right. I'll propose.
I'll second it.
Well, I said I'd propose, but
Sorry. Right, let's start again. Who was proposing? Helen Crawford?
yes, please, Chairman.
Who was seconding it?
Yeah, I'll second it, Chairman.
Okay, so we have it proposed and seconded. Sorry, I do jump the gun every time on that, don't I? But I see, before we move on then, Ian Selby's asked to speak and Charmaine Morgan. A little bit after I'd called for the vote, but we'll wind back a little bit. Councillor Selby, Ian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You was a bit quick off the mark, actually, Bob.
Oh, it's getting near lunchtime, Ian.
I know, I'm getting hungry myself, Bob, so I totally know where you're coming from. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, I'd like to see a bit more of a close-up of the pictures, actually, of the stained glass windows. They're not very clear from what we can see, but I've no doubt they'll be good. I was thinking a bit nosy. I'd like to know what they're going to cost, but that's probably not a plan.
Nothing to do with us, Ian.
No, it's not. But I've no doubt there'll be quality. The big improvement to this. I'd like to have seen some design to do with the dam busters on as well. But anyway, that's just personal.
Nothing to do with us, Ian.
I know. I was just say, Bob, it's just a personal preference. But yeah, good improvement this, Bob. So yeah, happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Councillor Morgan, Charmaine?
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I don't know if everybody does know that St Vincent's House was the headquarters of Bomber Command during
I'd be amazed if they don't, Helen. Charmaine.
Just in case, because not everyone's from Grantham. I actually have to say that I am slightly disappointed too that there is no plane or anything whizzing over that landscape, because it would have been incredibly apt. The other point is that actually the house was built by the owner of the Hornsby factory, so actually it has a very industrial past. But having said that, it is a very attractive design, and it reflects some of the history of the house, I would say, not all of it, and I would support it. If it helps, happy to propose it.
It's been proposed and seconded.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
No, that's okay. It did get a bit confusing, my fault. Any other speakers in debate? I'm surprised nobody's asked for a condition to be put on that when the windows are installed, we get an invitation to go to a topping out ceremony or something similar. But I'll mention that quietly to Graham. Okay, let's move to the vote then, please, this time, Anita.
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Bishnell Singh.
For.
Councillor Crawford.
For.
Councillor Dilks.
For.
Councillor Exton.
For.
Councillor KB Brown.
For.
Councillor Milnes.
For.
Councillor Morgan.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Selby.
Enthusiastically for.
Thank you. Councillor Jackie Smith.
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. That is carried, Mr. Chairman. Sorry.
Thank you, Anita. Item 14 is any other business. I don't have any other business. I'd be grateful if members would be kind enough to, after the public have left and the officers have left, if we just stay behind for a few minutes and have our usual wash up, and perhaps Jeff Upton, if you'd like to stay with us for a few minutes, that could be helpful. So thank you everybody for your contributions and attendance, etc. And Anita, if you will release the, if that's the right word, the members of the public and the officers, with the exception of Jeff.
Yes, certainly. I think actually Shelley's going to do that, Mr. Chairman. So.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. I'll get it
no,
right
okay.
one day, you know.
No, it's okay. That just confused me doing that.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just do that now. Thank you.